Welcome, guys. We're preparing to start season 3 of KMR, and I have alongside with me Fractured Chain, who is our defending champion in this league. So, Fractured,
Yep.
also my co-analyst as we get ready to break down what's to come in season 3. So glad to have y'all join us, and so let's get right to it. We're talking season 3. We're preparing for the qualifier coming into
Season
the qualifier.
30 all time.
Season 30 all time. What do you think is going to be what stands out to you as we get ready to run this qualifier here later on?
Whoever's quickest. Winning. I think winning is the first thing that comes to everyone's mind who is running this qualifier, so that they can just easy lock in there.
Yeah, anybody you got your eyes on for sure as we look, it's something new coming in this season compared to in seasons past with the qualifier. We know in seasons past just anybody was in, and that's kind of how it was, but now it's broken up into two sections. You got your rookies, those that have never completed a season in KMR, and then you've got your pros and up, pros, veterans. Let's start with the pros and veterans because Fractured, that's who you have in your party and or in your lobby. So who you got that stands out to you as we coming in?
Slothy Jello Jr. Returning veteran. Actually, when the season after we left NASCAR 15, he won the championship. So he is a one-time NASCAR 15 champion. So I look on his eyes to make some move. I look on him to make some moves tonight and ultimately get himself into the regular season.
And his competition. When you look at his competition, what do you see as far as competition? Could there be any competition for him?
Definitely. Of course, we have Swift in the 31. He's taking over my ride, taking over a champion's ride. I know he has pretty high expectations over there in RCR. Coming in to fill the shoes of someone like me, but I think Swift is going to be the dominant car in my lobby. Dale, we always gotta look out after Dale, because he'll pull something out of his hat at times. Another one to look at, Hair Bear. He can be sneaky and get in there sometimes as well. So honestly, it just depends on how the start of the races and how they fan out around the midway part of the races.
Now you've got 5 races set up. As we talk about the format of this thing, you got 5 races set up. Daytona, Atlanta, Texas, Martinsville, Dega. Now in the past, the format has been short track, mile and a half, 2-mile, restrictor plate, road course. Well, starting in this season and moving forward, that's all changed. And so with this new lineup now, how do you think that affects what's going on, moving forward in this thing?
I think it really goes off of driver skill and how good they are at the track. I know mile and a half, Swift is pretty quick. I have seen him up front contending for the lead. Martin in the short tracks have just came out to be Dale Jr., Hair Bear able to muscle some good finishes out. Then, of course, you got the restrictor plates, 2 of them. That's huge. Daytona, Talladega. Those races, I would say, arguably are a toss-up for anyone. So, I look forward to it. Atlanta and Texas will be, I think, bold prediction, but Swift, I think, is going to blow them out in Texas and Atlanta.
Pretty bold indeed. Someone I look out for coming into this thing is Lawden. Lawden took a season off, basically. And we talk about Lawden, we're talking about someone who's been around KMR for a really long time. And he's had some years where he's been extremely successful. He has won races in KMR. And we think about the last full season that we saw him run. I mean, did he pull out the stops or what? He came in, he won a Las Vegas race, he got himself
Came
into
out
the
of
round
nowhere.
of 6. I mean,
Just knocked something. And he beat Forte, too. I mean, we know we haven't seen the best version of Forte in the chase, but Forte had that thing locked up. And then here comes Laudner on the top side, takes the win from him. I mean, he just came out of nowhere. So we always have to expect Laudner to come in clutch.
and one thing that puzzled a lot of people, Lawton before he ran that 24 car that season and did really good with the races that he ran for the most part. And then decides to make the move to the 15 car in H. Scott Motorsports, and everyone was confused at that because you're sitting in Hendrick Motorsports, and Dale Jr. offers you an opportunity to, as the team captain, to extend your stay at Hendrick, and you say, "Well, I'm gonna go to this other team," and we saw a large decline in his statistics overall. He didn't make very many races, didn't run well when he got there. So the question now is, which Lawton are we going to see? Are we going to see the Lawton that we had before, or are we going to see the Lawton that is going to actually put up a fight, and is going to be someone you have to contend with?
What's his number again?
Lawton has not picked a number that I know of as of yet. But
one thing I've seen statistically with him, he does better with teammates. I don't know if that's just something that clicks for him, but with teammates, Lawton does statistically better. So that might be a thing, because we saw him in the 15. He struggled, and he struggled hard. We had that 19 racer race at Auto Club last season to start the season, and he just didn't do anything in it. I mean, it was never really up front. So if he has teammates, I think we can expect to see Lawton up the front in races.
Yeah, I think he needs that support, and not just any teammate. He needs that veteran leadership.
They need people to keep him in it, talk to him, tell him, hey, big picture.
Exactly. Now, we talked already about some of these drivers in here. Last season we had Speed B. Speed B, all things considered, before the incident that had him removed
he was
for
quick.
that season, he stayed near the chase cutoff or just a little bit behind the chase cutoff all season long. And that's saying something because, and we'll touch on it in a minute, but because of that old format and all of the bonus points that the top drivers, yourself and other top drivers, were getting, it allowed those top drivers to break away from the field. I mean, quite literally break
175 points over fourth in points.
And that's something else. But the fact that he was able to stay that close in competition was something. And we also got a glimpse of what he was able to do in the All-Star race. The rookie versus pro, as well as the skills challenge. Now, could we see another Speed B return in this season?
I think now that he's coming in as a second-year driver, I think he got the feel of what the rules packages were last season. He came in there and drove, no pun intended, but super stupidly aggressive. Made some bad moves. I think we will see a calmer Speed B, a much cleaner Speed B this season if he makes it in as qualifier.
Got to make it in. And so, again, the rules are you win, you get in. Now, with this schedule, Daytona, Atlanta, Texas, Martinsville, Talladega, those are guaranteed races. But now, Watkins Glen, Phoenix, Michigan, Chicagoland, and Homestead, especially that Glen race, as an overtime race, meaning if someone wins 2 races within these, and one individual wins 2 races within this schedule, or the first 5, then we move on to the next race. And we move on to the next race until we get a winner that has not won a race yet. How about Watkins Glen being the next race? We typically see a road course. Now, how will this road course, different cars, different format, how is that going to affect who wins and who goes home?
Obviously, NASCAR Heat is a terrible game. I'll say it right. I'll just say it bluntly. It's terrible. And we have seen very bad things in the form of Watkins Glen, Sonoma on this game. But, I mean, you're going to have to adapt to it as a racer. I mean, you got to be prepared for every track they throw at you. So Watkins Glen is going to be a challenge, I think, for some drivers. But ultimately, it's just going to be whoever knew the track the best, I think, in the end. Because it's a stupid track on Heat. I'd prefer it on Forza, but you just got to be prepared for it.
Oh, yeah. So that's your pro side. A lot to look forward to. Now, let's touch on the rookies because we've got a lot of rookies here lined up that have, in some way, shape, or form, committed to running. You got rookies like Mike, not going to pronounce that last name. You've got Patrick Bunny, who has had some communication or some experience with KMR, but not a full season, which means he's still a rookie. What about officially Racing Kaysen? You have experience with Racing Kaysen. You have experience
He will
with
actually not be
Vogel
able to make it
Elliott.
tonight.
Huh?
Casey will not be able to make it tonight.
Oh, so
He is in Colorado.
We will not have Racing Kaysen. Okay, well, I appreciate that update. But you do have Vogel Elliott, who we saw.
Hooch.
Yeah, we saw Hooch run the All-Star race or the Rookie versus Pro race, and the job that he did all the way almost to the end and almost being able to win that race. Fractured, you have more experience with him than I do. What are we expecting here with drivers like that coming in here?
Aggressive and quick moves early on in the race is what we will see from him. Hooch is very aggressive and sets himself up for the end of the races very early with how consistent he is able to stay in the front of some races, especially on Forza. So I would say look at Pooch and don't ever count him out on his smart aggression at the start of races. His aggression is very smart and it's very aggressive as well. So I'd say obviously you have to look at Pooch as a factor this season.
And if he gets in, well, what do you think he's going to be able to do in terms of keeping up with the drivers in the regular season? Drivers like yourself, like Forte, with the experience that he has, like the driver of the 27 Cookie, and the experience obviously he brings to the table. How is he going to be able to compete with that kind of experience?
Being calm. He's a very calm driver. He never panics. I mean, it could be the last lap. He could be starting 16th. His life on the line, and he's calm. He's a very calm driver. I mean, for example, in my league, the FC Cup Series, he restarted 13th with 10 to go. In the last race for the championship, he worked his way all the way up to 5th. Wasn't able to quite get it done, but his composure got him all the way up there. He never panicked. So he's very patient. So I look out for that this season. He will ride behind someone.
That's something
if it means smart getting to the front.
Yeah, that's something we need, and coming up in the next season is drivers with cool heads, because we've seen the opposite of that. So if you had to say something to all of these rookies that are preparing to run this series and are preparing to embark on this wild ride, there are only going to be 4 rookies coming out of that rookie class, because of what happened with Skeleton, and we'll get to that in a minute. But if you had to say something to the 4 rookies coming out of this class, what would you say to them?
Be ready. Obviously, you're going to have people up front every race, like me, Forte, you, Cookie, even Ghost Train, Zach even. Sky, Racer, any of those, all guns, they're up front consistently. So you got to be able to beat that in a sense. You can't let their speed intimidate you. You can't let our speed intimidate you. As soon as you get to that factor, you panic, and boom, there goes your race. So it's just gonna come down to not panicking if they're quicker than you. Just get the car set up and play some strategy games. I mean, not going to say you're going to be the quickest, but I'm also not going to say you're going to be the slowest because we do have quite a bit of speed in this league, I must say.
You know, if I had to say something to these rookies, I would say also that, you know, to piggyback off what you said, I would say stay with it. You know, every race is not going to be a race where you win, and you may be coming from a league or you may be coming from racing in whatever fashion where you win quite a bit of races, and you may come in and you may continue that trend. If you do, good for you. But if you don't, if you struggle, if you're running in 19th and 18th place, stay with it. If you can't be at a race, you look at how it impacts you in the points, stay with it. You know, if you get wrecked in a race and you have to start on a white flag shootout in last place, stay with it, because you never know what can happen that can get you into victory lane or to get you where you want to be. And set reasonable expectations for a race, reasonable goals. Don't set winning a championship in your rookie year as a goal, because it doesn't happen often, and it will not be easy to do.
We just got word from Snipes, aka Scott. He may only run one race tonight. He's not having a good day, so that's a big factor in terms of he's a very quick driver. So,
but also a driver that's locked in. He should be locked in for next season.
Really?
Yes. Snipe made the chase list. Yes, he made the chase last season.
Who are the two people that missed it?
Because remember, it was the top 10 drivers that were not going to
who
be
missed
in
it.
So, well, the back half of who missed it, you've got. Let's take a gander to at last.
Oh, he was a chaser though, so yeah, he is.
Yeah, he was a chaser.
So he's in.
He's locked in. So you can tell him that he's okay.
I guess I didn't take into a point that the points came in there. I only just now realized we only had 9 drivers in the chase last year.
Right. So All Guns is the only driver that made it in via the rule adjustments. And so let's talk about that a minute. Let's talk about some things that make KMR unique from other leagues. The first thing in particular is, of course, the adjustments that have been made with the points and having drivers locked in. All Guns being the beneficiary this season of being able to get locked in as the top 10 drivers, and having these other drivers make it in through the qualifier or the All-Star race or some other venue. How is that going to be? What do you see as far as next season, as far as excitement? How is that going to help these drivers that may not make the final 6 and have a chance to fight for a championship?
Very hyped up. I know quite a bit of these drivers are itching at the bit to get out onto that racetrack. So it seems like every year there's always that storyline, that battle every season between these two drivers or these two drivers that make the league all fun. Because, like, you know, last season it came down to me and you. And I mean, it seems like the reason that was such a big storyline is because it's happened so many times before. So it's the storylines every season that come out to be on top as hyping the league up.
Yeah, that was real fun last season. And what made it another thing that contributed to making it such a story was the fact that, well, while we know that you were the pinnacle, you were at your peak last season, setting and breaking all kind of records, making history in this league. As far as I'm concerned, I had a very underachieving season. In 22 races, I only won 1 race, you know. And so many people were not counting on me to have the type of chase that I had. And to be honest with you, although I expected to be better than what I was in the regular season, I wasn't expected to have that kind of chase to where it came down to the wire like that.
I expected you to come out like that, honestly. In my opinion, I think I was the only driver expecting you. I know Forte, he was not expecting you at all. He was just saying, oh, it's just going to be me and you up front. I'm like, don't count the 27 out, bud.
It felt good to run up there.
Not good enough on the heat tracks. Good, but not good enough. I mean, that's a big part of it. Just if you underestimate a driver, you're not going to beat them. If they come out and have a good chase and you underestimated them, you're not going to beat them. And that's something that I've been working on, is just making sure that no one take into account everyone in the chase. I don't care if we have, not trying to fire a shot, but we have beloved car, not a very quick driver in the chase. I'm not going to count him out one bit. His strategy might go his way every race, and he might win. I mean, you cannot count any driver out of the chase.
And you look at their certain drivers' history, you know, when you get in the chase and you look at your roster, you look at who you have in the chase. Somebody with experience. I don't count out anyone who has championship experience, because that means that they've won a championship. They've been there, they've done that, they know the pressure, the expectation, and that also means they have an extra gear.
That's state.
Huh?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, my dad walked into my room. Did you ask it again?
Yeah, so that means that they have an extra gear. They have an extra level that they can go to that makes them competitive, that makes them a threat. If they have that kind of experience, you don't count them out, because anything can happen. And there's been some adjustments to the rules, so let's talk about a little bit about the adjustments. One of the big adjustments that I know myself personally, I'm looking forward to seeing how it's going to play out, is the battle for the lock-in positions 7 through 10.
Yeah,
you know,
I think right now, going into this season, I think what the expectations are, all right, the 27, the 27, the 24, and the 11 are going to get a win. I think that's the expectation instantly. As soon as you look into the season, it's going to be the 27, 24, and the 11 getting a win. But then you got to take into account over the season who's going to win. Racer, Sky, good on the Forza trucks. Ghost Train, Forza. Zach, in the end of the season, pull out another one like he did last season. Then you got AJ, consistently at the front, sneak a win in or get in on points. Swift, I mean, he's proven he can win at Daytona. He could sneak himself in. I mean, it's such a toss-up between these drivers that you're like, they might get in, but they might not.
And so when you include them in a battle, like in seasons past, once those drivers get into the top 6 and they're locked and they're ready to go for the championship, for the drivers below that, what are you fighting for, really? I mean, you're out there to have fun. And we've noticed how in KMR there's been a big dip in attendance in the chase or around the chase. You already had a first group of drivers that have been eliminated.
They're not there to have fun. They're there to win a championship. It's all about the competitive edge is what a lot of people are thinking.
Exactly. Well, now it's not over. Now when the chase starts and you have these drivers that are eliminated, now they're locked into a battle to see who's going to get these final lock-in positions. And then when the final 6 starts and you have these drivers that finish 7th, 8th, or 8th, 9th, and 10th, you know, in the points, and now all of a sudden they're thinking, well, I'm safe. You know, I don't have to worry about anything.
No one's ever safe. And no one's ever safe.
And now all of a sudden they're locked into this battle with this group down here that's in the top 17 in points, and that battle does not stop until the final race is over, as to who's going to be locked into next season. And anyone who has had to come through that qualifier knows you do not want to have to run it multiple seasons. You don't want to have to run that again. So what impact do you think that's going to have in keeping these racers engaged all season long?
Taking their mind off the competitive aspect is big. A lot of people in the league racing community, I've noticed, are just there for the competitive. It's all about winning. It's all about doing good. And they never take into account having fun. If people just show up, I mean, they're not in the chase. Show up, have fun, go show yourself that you're good. You might be out of the chase, but show yourself that you're still competitive. That's a big thing with drivers nowadays. That I think I wish to see more is the fun aspect in some drivers.
We'll get a chance to see that fun, as well as continue to see that competitive edge. They may not be chasing for a championship, but you know what? If you're locked in, then that's 5 races that you don't have to worry about the next season, and you can focus on improving your skills for season 4. When season 4 schedules will be released, which is going to be released around November. And you'll be able to look at that schedule and say, you know what, this is where I messed up last season. I'm going to make myself better this season. And for those drivers that got locked into the round of 12 but couldn't advance, they can't sit and just, rest on their laurels. Now they've got to go out there and dig, because they've got a group behind them. They're coming. They want those lock-in positions that you got. So someone could potentially have gotten to the round of 12 and still end up having to run the qualifier. Which, doesn't look good on the resume at all.
A lot of people underestimate the qualifier. A lot of people. You could come in there with the worst competition ever compared to you, and then all of a sudden you don't even make it. How do you not make it? It's the qualifier. It's so out of the ordinary, and it throws anything at you.
Yeah, you can have a bad schedule, coupled with drivers that you know nothing about. You don't know their driving style. You don't know how they run. And not to mention, there are no cautions. There aren't that many laps. Yeah. So you're crammed in there, and you're like, I expect you to win, or you're going home. We think about other leagues, other forms of sport. Think about the NBA playoffs. What happens? You win or you go home. What happens in college basketball in the tournament? You win or you go home. Well, what happens in KMR? You win or you're going home. And so for so many people, this season is going to be, or these first 5 races start their season, but it could end their season just as quickly. And that's a very pressure-filled situation to have to be in at the drop of a hat. We could just ask one of our fellow drivers that used to run with us, Speedy Driver, and what happened to him having to run the qualifier. Someone who has championship experience, and he could not get back into a season because of what happened in the qualifier and not been able to win. And so very, very big a predicament. Let's talk about another adjustment that KMR has made. In the past, and including last season, if you won a pole, you got 3 points. You were rewarded for your pole. If you got led the most laps, you get 2 points. So, and all of those were added together. So you got 5 points already. Then you get the fastest lap at the end of the race. Whoever had the fastest lap for the end of the race, then you get another bonus point. So 6 points, and then of course if you led a lap, you get another bonus point. That's 7 points that you could walk away with, not even counting where you finished at. Now all of a sudden, when you look at what could happen, someone could sweep a weekend, or let's say sweep all of those bonus points, but finish 5th, 6th, and get as many, if not more, points than the winner of the race. Now there's been a major adjustment. The poles still count for something. You can still advance into the chase by means of 4 poles, getting 4 poles in the season. So the poles still count. But now no more no more fastest lap. So that's 1 point for the most laps led, 1 point for leading a lap. That's something that if you lead a lap, many drivers can do that in the course of a race. How is that going to play a part in the points for the season or for the playoffs?
As you said, you can get up to 7, and a lot of the times, I would take those 7 points every week last season with the bonus points. Now, a lot of drivers, it seems, they'll DNF but have those 7 points. They'll just fall back on them. But now you don't have any bonus points to fall back on. So at the end of the night, you're trying to fall back on these bonus points and you don't have any. So now it's just going to be about smart racing instead of fight for the bonus points. It's not going to hold drivers like me up. Drivers like me are going to have to be consistent. I'm going to have to be better all around in the track. So that's a big part of how the bonus points happened to come in last season.
Yeah, and it's going to keep everyone competitive. The racing is gonna be compact, because if you look at where we were race 7, race 8 of last season's schedule as far as points compared to where we could be this season, there won't be a 100-point gap by the time we get to race 8, because drivers in the top have ran away with the bonus points. You're really gonna feel it really maximizes each position. Each position is worth something now. So, you look at it and it's like, man, I've got to dig to get these points. And I mean, it also maximizes something that this league has that not many other leagues out there have. A unique part of KMR exclusive to this league are the team points that you get. So now you're rewarded for running well as a team. Now it maximizes the value of these team points. Fracture, we saw last season many teams with, a ton of team points they didn't use. Their drivers didn't make the chase, or because the team points had no value, drivers just went out there and ran helter-skelter, wrecked out, DNF, got no points. They didn't care because the team points had no value. If you weren't getting the bonus points for those achievements, pole, fastest lap, most laps, then it didn't matter with the team points. You weren't going to catch the leaders. It wasn't going to happen. Now all of a sudden the leaders will be in range or in striking distance, and that increases the intensity of racing overall in this league. It has to, because people are going to have to come in and say, man, I got to get this done. I got to get 10th. I got to get myself up to 10th to make sure I get good points, or if they DNF now, they look at themselves and they can't say, well, I'll just sweep this next race and get all my points back. They get a goose egg on the DNF. It really hurts them in the point standings.
Yeah.
So
DNFs lose you so many points. So many valuable points. Chase DNFs especially. You DNF in the chase. It's one of the most heartbreaking things that can ever happen. So we obviously got to look for DNFs this season. They happen so frequently every race now, it seems, that you don't know what's going to happen. So DNFs will, I think, once again, spicing up how the season runs.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Talk about a driver that was able to accomplish something that now this league has started to make a regular, and that's the All-Star race. Last season, or season before last, All-Star race, Homestead, Miami. This season's All-Star race, Daytona, and they're at Daytona for the All-Star race. Of course, the stipulation was if you've already won or you're already locked in to the next season, then the All-Star race is yet another factor, or yet another something you can put on your resume for accomplishments, another accolade. For a driver that's not locked in, that has to run that qualifier, and you win the All-Star race, you're locked into next season. Well, Fractured, you were there at that race. I was there myself as well. And we saw a very intense battle under the lights at Daytona between Swift Bunny, between Ghost. Ghost locked in, Swift Bunny not locked in. We also saw with Forte in the mix as well, myself in the mix, you in the mix. But we saw a driver win that I didn't see coming. What were your thoughts on that All-Star race, that night race, and your thoughts on Skeleton being able to get a victory for RPM?
Skeleton winning was probably one of the most surprising things that could have happened that night. It doesn't happen too often where you get a driver like that, but it just shows you the power of Daytona, how Daytona is with damage on, and I mean, it's anyone's game. As long as they know how to press a gas pedal and touch a steering wheel around Daytona, you're good. And it's another one of those things where Daytona, and I know Skeleton, he's a very good and aggressive racer at restrictor plates. So in a way, I kind of expected him to come out and have a good performance. Did I expect him to win? No, but I mean, he came out and he proved a lot of people wrong.
Certainly did, and he was someone who was in line to have to run that qualifier, and so now you can take a big sigh of relief.
Yeah.
That you don't have to run the qualifier. You can start focusing on, the first race of the season, or the first weekend of the season, and that was a big low. I remember watching that race, and I thought Swift had it. Honestly, when I was watching that race and I saw Swift running, I was like, okay, that Swift buddy's going to get in. He's not going to have to run a qualifier. And then that wreck between him and the 41, and of course it was the last lap, so there was no caution. And after I drove through the wreck, I see the 43 also get through, and it was awesome to see the 43 back in victory lane for something competitive. And it was also awesome to see how he was able to win that race, and so kudos to that team, kudos to Skeleton. Now he can take the time to say, hey, I'm in, and I will see you guys next season. So a fun All-Star race. Now this coming season, season 3's All-Star race will be at Airfield. Now, Frank, we've seen some Airfield races.
No
what
comment.
do you think that's gonna be?
Better know how to keep your car clean and turn right. That's all I'm gonna say.
Is anybody gonna survive an Airfield race? That's gonna be the question of a lifetime.
I'm not even sure.
Well, we'll get a chance to broadcast that and find out.
About 6 people ram into a light post. It'd take about 7 other with you. So, unpredictable. Light posts are very underestimated.
Yeah, they don't move. And if anyone...
Yeah, I know.
I can tell you from experience.
When you hit them, you're like, man, that light post moved, I swear.
Yeah, no,
not there last
time. It doesn't move. It stays there. But one of the things that's going to be unique at Daytona, we saw the skills challenge. We saw an in-and-out race on the road course of Daytona. 2 quick stops. It was a very exciting race to broadcast and to see. We had a couple cautions in that race. With Airfield, of course, there is no pit road. And the skills challenge will be a little bit different. The skills challenge will be between each manufacturer, and representatives of those manufacturers will play a game of tag with their cars. Yeah. That's gonna be interesting to see and to experience. That's gonna be fun. What's your thoughts on that?
The Airfield is a very unpredictable track.
No.
Airfield. We saw when we ran it last season, many people broke their cars, and that makes you just wish, hey guys, can you jump over that concrete wall and fix it? Or do I have to keep driving with a brokeny left front? So, there's Airfield for you.
Yeah. Very Yeah, I agree. It really
Rage
makes you take
inducing.
the time, and with the adjustments with the points, or well, not with the points, but with the adjustments in the racing and everything, really makes you want to take care of your car. You got to take care of your car there. Now, Airfield will not be on the schedule for next season, or for season 3, the upcoming season, but definitely a track you want to keep in mind. It will resurface again, and so keep an eye on that. It should be fun to see that All-Star race. It is
Yeah.
5:30 Eastern Standard, basically 5:29,
2
5:30
hours.
Eastern Standard Time. 2 hours until the qualifier starts, ladies and gentlemen. So we're here to keep you updated with all the news around KMR. And so now, Fracture, let's look at the schedule we got going on. And one thing that pops out to me, race 1 of the regular season, the race that should start each season back where it belongs, the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, the race of all races, Fractured. Man, it's going to be exciting to see all of the big moves that we've had. You joining Hendrick Motorsports, rejoining, I should say, Hendrick Motorsports, because you were there
Yeah.
some time ago, and being with your team captain Dale Jr. hopefully with all guns. I know you're looking forward to working with him with a new look RCR, with a new look Joe Gibbs Racing claiming the super team
Super team.
title. Stuart Haas not looking half bad either, acquiring Paintbrush, re-signing Snipe to an extended deal. All Guns extending his contract with Stuart Haas. They're pretty much solid. All the major teams are in place. And every team, every driver wants to be the first to win at Daytona. What are your thoughts on the beginning of this season?
We're gonna watch out. I would say if we have those 20 cars show up, the aggression level is going to be through the roof. I know myself, I have only won at Daytona once in my career. It's been a long time. Actually, my last Daytona 500, or my last Daytona win, came with Hendrick Motorsports. So I'm pretty thirsty for another Daytona win, especially a Daytona 500 race like that, and then lock myself in early, not have to worry about anything the rest of the season, really, until this chase starts.
And for someone, maybe for a rookie or someone like a driver that has struggled, we know Daytona and Talladega produce some of the most exciting races as far as restrictor plates, but also can produce first-time winners. Who do you see going out there, maybe in their rookie season, or maybe a driver that has struggled for a really long time? Who do you see going out there and getting the victory lane?
Air Bear. I've seen him. He's been able to put up some good numbers around I mean, maybe not the best, but he's been able to finish restrictor plate races, and that's the ultimate goal at those. So you always have to look at Hair Bear to sneak something in, maybe pull a strategy maneuver, get himself up front, and then maybe even win the race. So Hair Bear has obviously not had the best career. He's struggled, but I think a Daytona 500 one would really put it back on track.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Someone I was thinking about that has been around this thing and for a while and who has struggled. We talk about his struggle, even though he has won a race. Dale Jr.
Oh,
It would be so nice to see that 88,
the 88 back in
in victory lane. There
So
at
close
Daytona.
last year. Indy.
Yeah, really, really close. Indy was the best and his only top 3 finish of the season. And I know he's disappointed at that. And we're talking about someone who, when he came into this league, was a fireball. He won a Vegas race.
Oh yeah, just rookie season.
Very consistent running mid-pack to up front. And we have seen progressively over the course of each season him decline statistically. Each season decline statistically to the point where last season there was a rule adjustment, a preliminary, or not preliminary, but almost like an opportunity you don't get every day for some drivers to enter the chase without having to make it in the way the rules say. They were allowing a provisional. They were getting a provisional. Dale Jr. struggled so badly that he didn't qualify for the provisional, but what ended up happening was there was someone who dropped out of the league that allowed him to be able to fit that criteria. And then, of course, this past season, a rule adjustment in which allowed the top 10 drivers, even those drivers that did not make the chase or were eliminated from the chase, now they're locked in. They don't have to worry about a qualifier. And yet again, he misses that criteria. That's why we talked about him earlier in the qualifier. For him to be able to win
big thing
a
with
Daytona
him
500.
right now, obviously he's got me as his teammate coming off a championship victory. I think that on its own will propel him maybe to get better, to get right back on track where his career was so promising after his rookie season. I think with a veteran like me on there, that ultimately could lead his career to getting back on track.
And I know you'll do your best to do that. You know, you got Atlanta, you got Texas, the other two races, very, very fast tracks, big tracks where we see side-by-side action. What a way to start the season. And then we got Martinsville race 4. Good job that we're able to just get Martinsville out of the way, because I don't think anyone is looking forward to having to battle 20 cars at Martinsville.
Me!
Well, you okay. Well, you are. What's a race that stands out to you as far as the schedule is in the regular season? A race that stands out to you as far as what could potentially be the most exciting?
Lime Rock Park. It's a very tight track. Very, very tight track, as we've seen. It ain't very wide. So Lime Rock, as we saw Ghost come out and dominate it with this many cars, Lime Rock could live up to a way better potential than it did. So I'd look out for Lime Rock this season. Obviously, we have Sky, one of the best in the world even at Lime Rock. I think we'll see him up front, especially at Lime Rock. But I think Lime Rock will live up to some big hype.
Yeah, you know, a feature of this league that I've actually kind of looked forward to now each season. Of course, another thing unique about this league is it combines these alternate road courses. The past couple seasons, we had a contract with these overseas road courses in which the league travels to Europe or to Italy, or to this season we'll be traveling to England and as well as Germany to run some of these road courses. But we also have Road Week, and it's a week where it's just road courses back to back to back. This season's Road Week consists of Long Beach, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta. I'm really looking forward to those three road courses because they're really, really fun to drive. They're Long Beach, very tight, very
the return
confining.
of Watkins Glen.
Yeah, how about Watkins Glen returning? Road Atlanta. These three road courses, pretty traditional road course. Well, Long Beach kind of isn't, but Watkins Glen and Road Atlanta are your traditional road courses that foster some tight racing. And the fact that we've ran these road courses before, now these drivers returning come into these road courses with a little more experience and now a little more aggression, because now they know these road courses, they know how to run them, and so now you can imagine their lap times getting faster. You imagine them taking certain risks that a couple seasons ago they may not have taken, which really is going to lead to some exciting racing and some cautions. And then, how about race 20, Nürburgring? That's going to be a challenge. We're really going to see that being a challenge. We seem to be having some technical difficulties, folks. So we apologize about that. My co-host unable to stay connected to me, but one of the things we're going to have is really tight racing there. One thing we're going to do now, we're going to take this time to kind of interview some of our drivers coming in for next season. Let's take the time first to interview our another co-anchor that we have possibly. Interview him and take the time to see how he has or see how he's doing, what he's doing, and so obviously having some technical difficulties. We will get with you in a second. But one of the things that KMR does that we're all going to enjoy is these alternate road courses. This is something unique to KMR to a large degree. And
Had
there
some
we go.
raining around the internet here, so
There
that
you
sucks,
go.
but it's better.
Speaking of raining, we don't
Forte
have
wants an invite.
I sent him one. I sent him one we were going to interview. I sent him one. And there we go. And so we're going to bring in now Forte
Include your audio.
Fortuna.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure your audio
Okay.
is included.
We're good.
We just got word Dale Jr. has won the poll.
For Talladega, he has.
Yep.
So, my name on a poll. Yeah, boys.
So, Forte, welcome to our broadcast of we're preparing for KMR Season 3. Of course, you were locked into this season, and you had a very emotional, in a way, season last season. Your last ride in the 3. Just talk a little bit about that. Your last season with RCR. Now making this move. Share a little bit of that with us.
It was a difficult kind of decision to make, I guess. I mean, you dominate, you win all these races, and you work well together with these guys, and then you don't know what you're gonna do after that. But I got an offer, and I felt like that now was the perfect time to accept that offer, and so that's why I left the 3. But when I made that decision, I kind of knew that it was gonna be a bit of a roller coaster from there for the rest of the season, and I couldn't deliver on getting them another win after that, but I hope I represented them well enough in the chase. We swept the top 3 in points, so hopefully, and looking ahead to this season, I'm hoping for a little bit more success in the latter half of the season, because we started off really strong, but we didn't really end strong, and that's what's important, really. So we gotta step it up by chase time. We gotta, hopefully, with the 11 car now this season, and we've got some new partners coming on. Hopefully that kind of help us a little bit, get our feet on the ground in the chase. We can maybe hit the ground running and shake some of that bad luck off that we've had and get the dub.
And that's real important. And you touched on that. We touched, Fraction and I touched on that earlier on in the broadcast. We talked about some of the changes that have gone on from last season coming to this season. One of the advantages was having all of Roush Racing now transition and form this team with yourself. And a lot of people look at that team and they get chills, myself included, that you combine the experience that these guys as well as yourself have, and you combine all of that, that could indeed be the Golden State Warriors of KMR. Uh, what do you think about that? Do you think that with this chemistry and this team that you guys can pull a KMR domination, if you will, as a team and bring home a championship for Gibbs?
I feel like it's a little early to start talking like that. I do certainly feel like on paper we have a very legitimate shot at winning a lot of races, leading a lot of laps, and running out front. But these races, it just tends sometimes you gotta put yourself in the right position when it matters, and so there is a degree of luck on your side, and so you gotta put yourself in the right position, because you can have the fastest car and you can throw it away, but you can also not have the fastest car and you can find yourself at the front. So championship, hopefully, that'd be awesome. But at the same time, I feel like we just need to take it 1 week at a time. And if we're racking up these wins, we just ride the high. And if we aren't racking up the wins, we got to figure out what we can do to get them.
Yeah, you know, one thing we noticed in the off season was that there were some drivers that decided to take the off season rest, especially those who were locked in. They looked ahead to what they were going to do next season. And then you had some drivers like yourself, like Fractured, and some others that decided to get seat time in other leagues and other cars. And so that was something that you did. Do you think that was a benefit? What do you think is the benefit that's going to be coming into this season?
So I've been very self-admittedly, I need to improve on the road courses. I won a race. I won the Watkins Glen race season 1, but that was really kind of just I put myself in the right position there. But I've been very vocal about needing to improve at the road courses, and so that extra seat time in the Cooper Standard Cup Series or the Sanyo Cup Series, for instance, has really helped me step up my game. And also my new teammates, I'd like to just give a shout out to Evil Killer Sky. He's been helping me out a little bit, but my friend Racer Dude 99, he'll be in the 19, as we know. He's been very influential, and he's really helped me a lot getting better at these road courses. And so I feel like I am as prepared for the Forza side of things that I've ever been. And I'd also there is the Fractured Chain Cup Series that I've been running, the Daytona Only League. That's helped me step up my game at restrictor plates. I felt like it was very noticeable in the chase race at Daytona last season. You saw some of the guys that have been running Fractured Chain. They were running up front, and their performance was noticeably improved from their last outing at a restrictor plate. So I feel like that extra seat time and just having these experienced teammates, these road course aces to kind of lean on, has been really big for me personally. And I'm just looking forward to putting it all together.
And that's vital, because when you look at the schedule, you've got a good mix of road courses as well as your ovals, including the return of the Daytona 500, race 1 where it should be, where it needs to be, the Great American Race. So I know you're antsy to get in the car and run the Daytona 500. I'm pretty sure if it was up to you, we'd be running the 500 tonight. But
oh man, I don't know about that. I got stuff to do tonight. But
okay.
I would love
maybe
to.
Not that antsy
I'd love
then,
to.
huh?
Next week would be great.
Yeah, definitely next week. But you know, then to look at the schedule and to look and to see, okay, I've got road week. You know, race 16 through 18, all road courses. I've got race 20, you know, the Nürburgring race. The race 22, if you have the worst season of your life, then race 22 is a road course. How do I get in? Having that experience is beneficial. But what do you think you bring to the table to your new team? Because if we look at the chase, you've got all ovals in the chase, and then you've got the one road course on race 4 of the final 6, then Daytona Night Championship race. One thing we've noticed is that your teammates that you signed with, they're road course aces, but as far as the ovals, at times they can tend to struggle. What do you bring to the table to help them improve overall?
I feel like mile and a halves are going to be really good for our team this season. I've found a lot of success on them my entire career. I got my first career win in KMR at a mile and a half. So I feel like just the experience of having these really fast cars on the mile and a half, which make up a lot of the schedule, they can kind of lean on me in that regard. If they are struggling a little bit, I can help them out and say, hey, look, this is what the car needs. This is what it needs to feel like. This is the best line to run, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, we're definitely going to keep a lookout for your whip out there, in which you're running the 11. A lot of experience dating back to the FC and Cooper Standard, the ZTE team, running that Gibbs 11. Even when you came in to this league and was running the 54 car, that's a Joe Gibbs car. You know, when you subbed in N15, that is a Joe Gibbs car. Was a Joe Gibbs car. So a lot of experience with them. So I'm pretty sure they're glad to have you home. Fracture, did you have anything to add to that?
Not really. Drive your own race. Don't make stupid strategy calls. That's really all I gotta say.
Oof.
Okay.
I'm just messing with you.
Well.
I'm just messing with you.
Nah, no. I see you. At least my team's locked in, man. At least I don't gotta steal other people's
At least I'm
Fracture
taking people under
and
my.
Cookie.
At least I'm taking people under my wing to make the league's competition better.
And I ain't
And
steal
not
nobody
jumping
for the
into
record.
a super team.
I ain't steal nobody for the record. But anyway, we're not gonna go there. You know, Forte, one thing that Fracture and I were also talking about was the rule changes coming into this season. Which one stands out the most to you that you look forward to seeing?
I really like the fact that the drivers, the contact under caution is more in the hands of the drivers now. That's something that I kind of have lobbied for over the past couple of months, seeing it on the racetrack. I just like being able to kind of, if I want to give somebody some fun bumps and they're okay with it, then you know that I like having a little bit of fun under caution with people sometimes, because you know when you run umpteen laps under caution, some days you get frustrated and you're just like, I'm pacing around. So as long as it don't get out of hand and people don't mind it, I'm glad that we can kind of keep it in the driver's hands a little bit.
What are your thoughts on the rule changes in regards to the points, the way the points will be tallied, the subtraction of the bonus points to a large degree, only 2 bonus points, you know, available in any given night, and then the changes as far as points for the battle for the top seed and being able to get in the next season?
When I first saw the fact that there weren't going to be as many bonus points, you don't know how big the smile on my face got. I feel like we've had really good, consistent speed, but we haven't been able to get the poles, and we haven't been able to lead the most laps, or lead the laps, or get the fastest lap. And so I feel like now it's more finish based. I can be a little more consistent. I don't have to push it to go, man, I need that extra 500ths to get the fastest lap because I need that point. Now I can just focus on kind of driving my race and finishing as well as I can, which I do anyways, but you know, I can kind of look at it and say, okay, so the pole's not gonna matter as much, but let's still try to start as good as we can. It doesn't hurt me anymore when other people win poles and lead more laps,
Hello?
I can kind of sit there and go, okay, we finished better than they did, so we got more points. My phone has blown up.
Okay. And the awkward silence. I thought Fracture would have been like, take it over for me.
I was waiting for it.
No, I'm focusing on F1 right now.
You mean that?
Yeah, man, I'm beating the crap out of Slothy.
Okay, well, you know, you are still, I am still broadcasting, and you are kind of all up in my broadcast, like, killing mine. But anyway, so yeah, one thing that I was looking forward to the next season is the adjustment as far as the points in you know, from you got these drivers that they're gonna lock into the final six. Of course, it's always gonna be championship race, final six, championship, you know, section. But then you got these drivers in around the 12. Now, last season we saw these drivers once they were eliminated, we saw a stiff drop in attendance because of the fact that you know they were racing for nothing, basically just racing to have fun. And I mean, you know, that's why we race. But ultimately, I mean, if someone wins, they want to feel their win was worth something. If someone passes, you know, they want to feel that it was worth something. Well, now you've got, you know, position 8, 9, and 10 that now these drivers that were eliminated before the chase could actually get in and lock into those positions. So you've got two separate points battles going on. You got the battle for the championship, and then you've got this battle for these final lock-in positions, which means everyone is locked into a battle of some sort. What do you think that the racing's going to be like when that happens?
I feel like the racing to a degree is always intense. I know from myself personally, and you've seen it, sometimes it's a little too intense. Self-admittedly, I can get a little into it. And so I feel like the intensity as everything wears on is just going to continue to ramp up. We're going to see more moments that are going to be controversial, that are going to get people talking. People are going to question things. People are going to think different things, I feel like. And it's going to be intense, though, for sure. We're like Speed B, the lap car punting racer dude 99 for the lead at Road America, Road Atlanta, sorry. That cost Racer a shot at the win. I feel like we're going to see more moments like that. People are just going to be fighting for every foot they can get on the racetrack.
And that fight will be well worth it for those drivers that can lock into next season. That fight will go all the way down to the final lap of the championship race, which will be at Daytona. And that's going to be very, very, very interesting championship night.
Oh,
very
yeah.
Interesting. You know, Forte, we appreciate you coming in and spending a little time with us. It is 5:57, almost 6 o'clock Eastern Standard. We go green at 7:30 Eastern. So, Forte, I'm pretty sure as you handle the things you need to handle today, you'll be keeping an eye out for that qualifier and who gets through the qualifier. And in your opinion, when you look at the qualifier roster, especially the roster with the pros side, these drivers who have been in this league before, whether it's one season or several seasons, and are now running to try to get back in, who stands out to you as someone you got your eye on?
Certainly Slothy Jello Jr., I would say. The guy, I ran with him in 15. The guy is got a lot of speed from what I heard, and he's harder passing a kidney stone. So I'm interested to see how that works out for him. I'm looking at him. I'm also looking at Dale Jr., not Dale Earnhardt Jr., but Dale Jr. With a bunch of numbers that I can't say off the top of my head. But he's I think with the tutelage from Fractured Chain, he's gonna improve. Hopefully, I feel like Ola Hendrick really is hopefully going to benefit from Fractured Chain being there. He's a fast guy. He's a good teammate to work with. He can be may be a little impatient with you at times, but he really does help you get better. So I feel like then over the course of this tonight, along with the rest of the season, you're gonna kind of get to see how Hendrick fares. I feel like they're gonna be the most interesting team to watch.
Yeah. For those viewers out there, we're preparing for the qualifier, which obviously is on NASCAR Heat Evolution. We've got Fractured Chain, our defending champion, 3-time series champion. We've got Forte, a former MVP and of this league, and now driver of the number 11 Joe Gibbs Toyota. That's so weird saying that. Feel free to leave chat. Feel free
I
to
did
leave
not
a
win
chat
MVP.
in the stream.
I wish I would.
Sorry. Well, I thought I had that down.
Rookie of the year.
Rookie of the year.
Oh,
I knew there was some
Paintbrush
accolade.
is the guy watching.
I knew there was some accolade there, but feel free to leave a chat in the chat room, as this is a live broadcast, pre-race, getting you set up for the beginning of the qualifier. And what should promise to be a very exciting qualifier for both the rookies as well as the pros and up. It should be a very exciting qualifier. Forte is so glad that he doesn't have to run a qualifier, but you know what? Let's bring in somebody
Absolutely.
who does have to run a qualifier. How about that? And we'll try to get in touch.
Mystery guest.
A driver.
All Guns has been spamming me. He's like, join my part of Forte. I'm like, bruh. Paintbrush would like entry into the party. He's watching right now, though.
No.
Ooh, denied on live television. This is some quality TV, folks.
We're gonna welcome in driver
Don't take
of
your
the
eyes off
88.
that
Pole
Driver
sitter of
the
Talladega.
88. Yes, sir. Dale Jr. Not Dale Earnhardt Jr., but Dale Jr. 38833. Exclusively here.
Thank you for inviting me and everything on this podcast and everything for Twitch and Cookie's channel. Cars fast.
So we've heard.
That was a very, very good lap and everything. I think I'm gonna let Greg Ives slip and everything on this one as to where he should not touch the car for the other tracks, but apparently his super speedway skills are still intact for a little bit.
Speaking of super speedways, Dale, the first race of the qualifier is a super speedway. It's a restrictor plate. It's Daytona, under the lights. Dale, how are you feeling? As the qualifier is about an hour or so away, how are you feeling about the opportunity to run again in this qualifier? Because you're a team captain, you have the opportunity to work with and be teammates with our defending champion. New season, how are you feeling right now?
I'm actually feeling pretty confident in everything that I'm going to make the season, no matter if it's a super speedway or a mile and a half. As you've said and everything, you know, I am a veteran. I've been in this league at least 4 or 5 years now and stuff, dating all the way back to NASCAR 14. So I know the super speedway. I know how to draft. It's just when it comes to Daytona, especially under the lights, it's going to be a fuel mileage race. Getting in, I don't see a problem of making the season though, which will benefit me and everything to get in this season.
Now, Dale, you know, we've seen a steady decline from what you were when you came in as a rookie in KMR back in N14. The explosive Dale in that orange 88, got that thing to victory lane at Vegas. You know, so you've won in this league. You know what it feels like to win. But it seems like each season there's been a steady decline in your overall standings. Last season, you managed to get a top three at Indy, finishing second, but that was your only one. And we saw a rack up of DNFs, especially at the restrictor plates. What do you think about what's been happening? What do you plan to do to fix it?
Right now it's I plan on fixing it to where I'm going to be there. A lot of things have come up family-wise of why the DNFs were there. 2014, when I started the season, I had a lot of time on my hands. You know, I was able to make every race. Now and everything, a lot's changed. So, no, there's no concussions or anything. My health is perfectly fine. You know, there's nothing to worry about that. It's just time-consuming and everything to make the races. And the times and everything are fine. It's just that it's my side, and now that I'm a team owner, that will change.
Obviously, with as many people as there's going to be, you have experience with drivers who are going to be in this qualifier along with you, drivers who ran last season and are going to again run with you. Drivers like Slothy, who has been mentioned several times as a favorite, Lawden, going to run as well. Speed Bee, Swift Bunny, Hair Bear, Fleur, and the list goes on. When you look at the competition versus where you are right now in your career in running in KMR, what do you say your percentage is of getting into next season? Is it going to be difficult for you? Is it going to be easy for you? What's your vibe in that situation?
I feel 100% confident that I will make the season. With the new addition to Fractured Chain 5 adding to the team, we've stepped up and everything for, we call it tire test, which is pretty much a practice session and everything between the 3 cars right now. We do have a new driver in the 48 car. You've mentioned him and everything with Salashi, or however you pronounce his name. He is a former track champion. He just won the last championship of his league that he was in. So I am surrounded and everything with a whole bunch of confidence to get me into this season. No matter if it's setups or where to race on the track, you know, where not to break or where to break. That is the key in everything this year. And especially as being team owner, you know, I gave a lot of part of the team and everything to Fractured as to, you know, lap times and stuff like this. He is pretty much the second in command to go to if I'm not available. which will help us in everything as we go forward in this season.
So, with the addition of Fractured Chain, and admittedly, you guys have struggled the past couple of seasons. You've only won one race in the last 2 seasons on this console. And so, with all of that in mind, with that around 10th place average finish last season, what are your expectations for this season from not only yourself, but your team as a whole?
Our expectations this season are high. 2 of the 3 of us, even probably the 3 of us and everything, will make the chase. The 48, the 24 will be in the chase. I have no doubt in that. I'm hoping and praying that I make at least the first round. I have a huge expectation and everything just for myself this year as well. No matter if it's a 1.5 miles, a 2 mile, or even Talladega. This season, for preparing for this season alone, I've also stepped up in everything on my short track. My Martinsville, my Bristol, even Dover. The one track that I always hate, I've practiced on them tremendously. And I think what my confidence level going in, especially Martinsville, is a lot higher.
Dale, you've seen obviously some adjustments as far as teammates. You talked about what you gained. What about the drivers that you have seen come and go at Hendrick Motors? What was your thoughts when you had All Guns opt in, and then you had Hair Bear opt out? What was your thoughts on that?
Well, since we're on a broadcast, I will make sure to keep it clean for everybody that's listening out there. To actually lose Hair Bear, I was actually kind of surprised. I wasn't able to find out the reason why he went to RCR. I don't know if it was because of conflict with our team or what, or if it was somebody else on our team. But we had a lot of difficulty with that going through the season. Partially because of not gaining points or people not showing up. I don't know if it was my fault, but as we step going further into this next season, what we gained, I don't want to say in everything will replace who we had or better us, but to be still with the Chevy brand and everything with RCR, I don't look at it as a competition. I look at us and everything, yeah, we're still the same brand and everything. We might share some things and stuff, but we won't share everything. But, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just shocked and everything to see him go. That's what we had lost. Was he was actually, contending for a championship when he was with us. To lose that, but yet to gain 2 champions, I'm not saying that it's good or bad, but it still keeps us in the hunt.
Dale, we're gonna get you out of here on this one. We all in here have talked about some of the rule changes coming into this season, some of the adjustments that have taken place that have caught people's eye and is going to really change the way racing is conducted out there. Which one of those adjustments catches your eye the most?
Well, you got me at a kind of a disadvantage. It's been a few weeks and stuff since I've actually looked at the webpage. If there is a need and everything for the rules to be changed and everything, it's probably for the better. You know? The thing that I urge when our, I should say, founders of the league, and Cookie, this is your league, if the rules need to be changed and everything, I'm all in favor for it. No matter what the rule is. This league has always been fair, and it's always been ran professionally. You run a honest league, no matter if it's on the website, and you always want the truth from all of us competitors that are racing. And that's what I look for in a league when I go to join. I've been with you and everything for 4 or 5 years now. This will actually be close to my 6th year racing. And I like that.
Awesome, Dale. We appreciate you joining us on KMR, and there has been so much that we've discussed and went through, and we are almost right at an hour removed from the very first qualifier race. Qualifier race is going to fly as we get through, but it was nice to take the time to sit down and talk to you, Dale, someone coming through the qualifier, talk to Forte, someone who's already locked in and who's had to make major changes. Always nice to have our co-anchor Fractured Chain with us, even though he is not doing anything right now in terms of this broadcast. He done had his moment. We're going to take the time now.
He did chime in a little bit and everything when I said that he was on the team, so that always, you know, he's like, oh, he mentioned me.
Fracture only cares about him. I see how it is.
The thing of it is and stuff, I'm not paying him and everything to chime in and stuff. He does that on his own time, so it's not coming out of my pocketbook, you know.
So he's a born natural. That's what I'm hearing.
What he says and everything else and stuff is out of his own mouth and stuff. If it gets immediate attention and stuff, and then I have to intervene on it, so we'll have that discussion later.
Uh-oh.
Well, it's like he's not a puppet on a string, man.
We're going to take this time to sign out, guys. All you tuning in, I'm going to start the broadcast for the qualifier at exactly 7:30. Well, let me not say that because something ended up happening. Be ready at or around 7:30 to tune into the broadcast. You'll get a chance to see what rookies are going to come through. Only 4 coming through my round of the qualifier this season. So look for that. It's coming soon. Until then, guys, see you next time.